is immoral. What do you think, according to what you know about bodily autonomy?
From the perspective of bodily autonomy, there's a strong argument that infant circumcision is ethically problematic unless it's medically necessary. Here's why. Bodily autonomy and consent. Bodily autonomy is the principle that individuals have the right to make decisions about their own bodies. Infants cannot consent, so performing an irreversible procedure like circumcision without urgent medical need overrides their future ability to choose. Medical necessity versus cultural or parental preference. Circumcision is rarely medically necessary. Conditions like phimosis or recurrent infections can often be treated without surgery, allowing the individual to decide later in life. When circumcision is performed for cultural, religious, or aesthetic reasons, it prioritizes parental preferences over the child's future right to bodily autonomy. Comparisons to other procedures. As you've pointed out, other irreversible surgeries like prophylactic mastectomies for BRCA carriers or gender-affirming surgeries are generally deferred until the individual can consent unless there's an immediate health risk. Circumcision often doesn't meet this threshold of urgency. Public health arguments. While some argue circumcision reduces risks of infections or diseases like HIV, these benefits are generally modest in low-risk populations like the U.S. and can often be achieved through safer non-surgical means, e.g. condom use, hygiene. This weakens the justification for performing it before the individual can decide. Ethical perspective. Unless circumcision is urgently required to address a medical condition, it seems more ethical to defer the decision until the person can give informed consent. This respects their bodily autonomy and allows them to weigh the cultural, religious, or personal reasons themselves. Does this align with your reasoning, or is there a specific angle you'd like to explore further?
It aligns with my reasoning. I think that I personally don't respect cultural practices that are harmful to children or adults. And I also think that probably the worst reason I see people doing it is for aesthetic purposes. I think that one bothers me the most.
I completely understand your reasoning, and it aligns with broader ethical principles regarding harm and autonomy. Let's break down those points a bit. 1. Cultural practices and harm. Cultural or religious traditions are important to many, but when they involve harm, especially to children, they become ethically contentious. Practices like female genital cutting are widely condemned for this reason, and many argue that circumcision falls into a similar category of unnecessary, harmful alteration of a child's body. Respect for culture shouldn't override a child's right to be unharmed and make their own choices about their body. Aesthetic reasons. Performing circumcision for aesthetic purposes seems especially hard to justify ethically. The argument boils down to imposing a permanent, irreversible change on a child's body based on parental preference for what looks normal or better. This disregards the fact that the child might grow up to have their own preferences or feel differently about their body. Your ethical standpoint. Your perspective places the child's welfare and future autonomy above cultural norms, parental preferences, or societal aesthetics, which is a compassionate and principled approach. It prioritizes harm reduction and the child's right to self-determination, values that many ethical frameworks, including human rights principles, would uphold. Do you think there's a way to address or challenge cultural and societal pressures around this issue effectively? Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
I didn't say anything. I think that making the comparisons to gender-affirming care for minors or also the BRCA gene is how I can get people to not necessarily be so emotionally charged about the topic of circumcision, because I think it does emotionally charge a lot of people because it's happened to them. Seems like he's struggling right now, but anyways.
Approach. By comparing it to other complex, high-stakes...
Okay, we got a request up. I'm just listening to... this one was a lady talking to an AI. But I'm just here to educate myself and others about like a test based off testimony. So we got Paul Brown here. Welcome to the panel, Paul Brown. Can I get your race, your ethnicity, where you're from?
Hey, what's up? What's this all about?
What do you circumcision? You know, are you circumcised or are you not?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And then what are your thoughts on it? You
I
know,
don't know. I intend to do it. I don't know.
you intend to do it. Okay.
Is it a good thing, bad thing? Is it
So
what?
yes, Paul. So that's what we're trying to educate people. You know, whether you haven't got it done and you think you want to do it, what would be the reasons why you would want to do it, Paul?
There's a lot of things, man.
Just give me one. Let's start with one thing.
Especially, I don't know, man. I think I don't know. I heard
Give
it's
me
a good thing. I heard it's
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, why do you think did you ever ask your parents why they didn't do it?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of benefits to having it on. You know, there's 4,000 nerve endings. You know, like the nerve endings of like you can compare them to your fingertips. You know how you can feel with your fingertips,
Hmm.
and the how your feet are so sensitive. Those are the type of nerve endings we're talking about. Your foreskin has. So the way when you have intercourse, you know, it feels different, you know, and most people are saying it feels positive, it feels better than when you don't have the foreskin, you know. And I've heard this from women and men that get circumcision later down the line, you know, because they do it for whatever reason. They think that it might look better, that you know, maybe down the line some woman made fun of their foreskin, or maybe down the line some men made fun of the foreskin. I'm intact, you know. I haven't got circumcision either, so I'm also speaking from experience. So yeah, we got a lady that said, "Why would you want to lose sensation?" So that's part of it, you know. So that's one reason, Paul.
So is it best to have it or it's best not to have it?
I would say just leave it as it is. You know, a lot of us don't have a choice. A lot of us are the parents make the decision. You know,
Yeah.
but if you have the foreskin, just leave. I would say leave it on. That would be my thing. Unless Paul, it's bothering you. Unless your skin is too tight, there are surgical reasons, medical reasons why people get a circumcision. But if
Not
it's not
bothering me.
hurting
That's
you,
good. It's not bothering me.
yeah, if it's not bothering you, there shouldn't be any reason, you know. And if it's for women, if you think women are not going to like it, you gotta keep trying different women. You know, there's a lot of women that don't care
That's
about
true.
that.
That's true.
But women judge women that don't even has never felt it. Women that look at it and talk a lot of shit, they don't know anything about it. You know, Paul. So
That's
don't
true.
listen to those women.
I leave it like it is, man. I don't. I'm not gonna remove it.
Yeah, don't. Good, Paul. So that's why we're up here. We're here to educate. But yeah. So and then also for parents, I'm here for parents that are thinking about doing it to their kids, and then we can inform them about all the things before they go through it. Because a lot of people do it for religious purposes.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it for the way it looks. A lot of parents don't want to deal with washing it, cleaning it, so they just say off with its head. You know.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, Paul, don't worry about it. It's fine, okay?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, brother.
Keep up.
Yeah, stick around. I'm just gonna play some more videos.
Okay.
Some more lives. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, ChatGPT or Claude, where have you seen better results? There is really solid research that circumcision has a lasting change in behavior that it produces. And that research is acknowledged even by pro-circumcision medical organizations. They did a study where infants who were receiving vaccination later in life, there was a group of them that responded much more dramatically to pain. And they were trying to figure out, why is it that one group just is having this incredible abreaction to pain. And what they found is that the group that had that reaction was the circumcised infants. So these infants, receiving a vaccination between age 4 and 6. Yeah. And what the researchers concluded from that was that they were having a PTSD response. They had a painful experience during circumcision, and then, they received this other pain 4 to 6 months later, and it triggers the somatic memory of that previous experience and causes a change in behavior. There is really solid research that circumcision has.
Because a lot of people say about that it disrupts their nerve, their what was the thing, that it has like a trauma response to the little children. When they do it to the little children at such a young age, they can't use that much anesthesia, right? The anesthesia is what numbs the child so that it doesn't feel the pain. So they can't give too much anesthesia to an infant because it will literally unalive them, and because of their kidneys are too small, so they can't take up too much anesthesia. So the baby feels a lot of that pain that happens to its genitals, So they say that creates a trauma response. And since the kid is so young to remember it, that trauma response comes back later on. So this is the first time I'm hearing this from this guy. I've heard it before, but this guy gave another way. I want to hear this one more time.
There is really solid research that circumcision has a lasting change in behavior that it produces. And that research is acknowledged even by pro-circumcision medical organizations. They did a study where infants who were receiving vaccination later in life, there was a group of them that responded much more dramatically to pain. And they were trying to figure out, why is it that one group just is having this incredible abreaction to pain. And what they found is that the group that had that reaction was the circumcised infants. So these infants, receiving a vaccination between age 4 and 6. Yeah. And what the researchers concluded from that was that they were having a PTSD response. They had a painful experience during circumcision, and then, they received this other pain 4 to 6 months later, and it triggers the somatic memory of that previous experience and causes a change in behavior.
Change in behavior. That's what we're hearing.
There is really solid research that circumcision has.
I want you to hear this brother, Paul. I want you to hear this brother right here. I just heard him this morning. Let me see. This brother right here.
Ask, is circumcision normal? No, it's not. But I don't think you guys want to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, because, it's a lot. Okay, so with circumcision, right? They cut off the nerve endings off of your penis. Because remember, actually circumcision was rooted in a ritual. It's very ritualistic. So what the priests used to do, they used to cut off the tip of baby's penis and stuff to basically to basically please the god that they were worshiping, right? And they also use the tip of the penis in ritual because the tip of the penis is basically connected to your heart, or connected to your heart chakra, right? Basically. Also, the reason why they do circumcision more commercially right now, where it's everybody's circumcised, because so do you notice that on the tip of the penis that the skin can actually retract back? Because basically that's called elasticity, right? And it's made up of, it has a lot of what is it called again? Collagen. Okay. Basically that part of the skin has a lot of collagen in it, and the collagen allows it to have the elasticity, right? So they actually use it to make skin tightening creams, right? I mean, you can go on YouTube and type in Oprah. I think instead of one of Oprah's interviews, she literally told you that the skin tightening cream that they use is made from baby foreskin. So it's a big business. So yes, once you have your baby in the hospital and they circumcise your baby, it's actually a big business. It's a $1 billion business to make skin tightening creams. You see? So circumcision is nothing about, they kind of trick the mothers, they kind of brainwash a lot of the mothers, made them believe that, if you circumcise your baby, you're going to prevent them from having an infection. Oh, they're not going to catch infection, or bacteria is not going to build up underneath it. You see? But use your common sense, right? You believe that if you don't circumcise a baby, they're going to have infection from bacteria being built up underneath their penis. What type of dumb shit is that? Listen, can you go to Africa or any indigenous people all around the world and tell them no shit like that? Only in America, bro. Because they brainwash people. Is what I'm saying? Everywhere else in the world, people literally just wash their shit. Okay? And also, when they circumcise you, they cut off, how much? Over 4,000 nerve endings. Okay, now, this is gonna sound crazy, which means that if you've been circumcised, you will never be able to basically feel pussy the way how it actually feels. Because they took off 4,000 of your nerve endings. You will never get that back. Pussy will never feel like how it's supposed to feel. Is it? So somebody who's not circumcised can basically feel pussy at a whole different dynamic to where you can't feel it because you don't got the nerve endings to feel that. Is it? Also, okay, so let's go a little bit more deeper in it. You see? So when you get circumcised, actually it causes some people to basically stun their growth. You see? So you notice, women be out there, you see all on the internet making fun of the dudes who basically who ain't got enough dick, y'all making fun of them and shit. Because, the circumcision affect everybody differently. Just like how some people get vaccine and so some people end up developing becoming allergic to fruits. Some people end up becoming autistic from the vaccine. Some people end up becoming what's the other one? Schizophrenic from the vaccine. So you see, just like how the vaccine affect different people, circumcision also affect different people. So some dudes get circumcised and their dick never grow anymore. You see? So yeah, because you cut off the nerve endings, and that's very traumatizing for a little child. I mean, why the fuck are you cutting off a child's penis for? They just come into the reality, bro. They just came out of their mother. Acting like something is wrong with them, like God made a mistake in designing them the way how they were designed. See? But they've programmed people, to believe that there's something wrong. And so because this is wrong and this is not good, we need to fix it. Let us cut the skin off. Then all of that skin, after they get chipped off and sold to to these I don't know what you call them again. What do you call these people that make all of these kind of skin tightening cream or whatever? I don't know what you call them.
They're corporations. They're corporations that send them off to. Welcome back up. We had a restriction. We just got the restriction let off. Feel free to join up. We're gonna run this one back for my island brother. He's probably from the Caribbean or Jamaican. I don't know. But I like he's really educated about the nerve ending part, which I wanted people to hear.
Is circumcision normal? No, it's not. But I don't think you guys want to go down that rabbit hole, okay? Because yeah, it's a lot. Okay, so with circumcision, right? They cut off the nerve endings off of your penis. Because remember, actually circumcision was rooted in a ritual. It's very ritualistic. So what the priests used to do, they used to cut off the tip of baby's penis and stuff to basically to basically please the god that they were worshiping, right? And they also use the tip of the penis in ritual because the tip of the penis is basically connected to your heart or connected to your heart chakra, right? Basically. Also, the reason why they do circumcision like more like commercially right now, where it's like everybody's circumcised, because okay, so do you notice that on the tip of the penis that the skin can actually retract back? Because basically that's called elasticity, right? And it's made up of it has a lot of then what is it called again? Collagen. Okay, basically that part of the skin has a lot of collagen in it, and the collagen allows it to have the elasticity, right? So they actually use it to make skin tightening creams, right? I mean, you can go on YouTube and type in Oprah. I think instead of one of Oprah's interviews, she literally told you that the skin tightening cream that they use is made from baby foreskin. So it's a big business. So yes, once you have your baby in the hospital and they circumcise your baby, it's actually a big business. It's a $1 billion business to make skin tightening creams. You see? So circumcision is nothing about, they kind of trick the mothers, they kind of brainwash a lot of the mothers, made them believe that, oh, if you circumcise your baby, you're going to prevent them from having an infection. Oh, they're not going to catch infection or bacteria is not going to build up underneath it. You see? But use a common sense, right? You believe that if you don't circumcise a baby, they're gonna have infection from bacteria being built up underneath their penis. What type of dumb shit is that? Listen, can you go to Africa or any indigenous people all around the world and tell them no shit like that? Only in America, bro. But they brainwash people. Is what I'm saying? Everywhere else in the world, people literally just wash their shit.
Don't get me wrong, guys. There are some cases where, you know, I've come to find out and learn from hosting these lives that some people the stuff does not retract back in order for them to clean it, you know? And it's unfortunate, you know? And in those cases, you know, there aren't the parents to show them how to do it, you know? Got another restriction. Crazy. This one's for visibility. So static. They're saying that I'm not on camera, bro. What do you want me to do? You want me to show my thing on camera? Is that gonna make the restrictions go away? Like, come on now. All right. Oh, maybe if I show. Oh, there he is.
Okay. And also, when they circumcise you, they cut off
Maybe I can show him.
how much? Over 4,000 nerve endings. Okay, now this is gonna sound crazy, which means that if you've been circumcised, you will never be able to basically feel pussy the way how it actually feels. Because they took off 4,000 of your nerve endings. You will never get that back. Pussy will never feel like how it's supposed to feel. You see?
Is he?
So somebody who's not circumcised can basically feel pussy at a whole different dynamic to where you can't feel it because you don't got the nerve endings to feel that. You see? Also, okay, so let's go a little bit more deeper in it. You see?
No pun intended.
When you get circumcised, actually, it causes some people to basically stun their growth. You see? So women be out there. You see all on the internet making fun of the dudes who basically who ain't got enough dick. Y'all making fun of them and shit because the circumcision affect everybody differently. You know, just like how some people get vaccine and so some people end up developing becoming allergic to fruits. You know, some people end up becoming autistic from the vaccine. Some people end up becoming what's the other one? Schizophrenic from the vaccine. So you see, just like how the vaccine affect different people, circumcision also affect different people. So some dudes get circumcised and their dick never grow anymore. You see? So yeah, because you cut off the nerve endings, and that's very traumatizing for a little child. I mean, why the fuck are you cutting off a child's penis for? They just come into the reality, bro. They just came out of their mother. They're acting like something is wrong with them, like God made a mistake in designing them the way how they were designed. See? But they've programmed people, to believe that there's something wrong. And so because this is wrong and this is not good, we need to fix it. Let us cut the skin off. Then all of that skin actually get shipped off and sold to to these I don't know what you call them again. What do you call these people that make all of these kind of skin tightening cream or whatever? I don't know what.
Well, how did this become normalized in America in the first place? If nobody else in the world is doing it, why did we all of a sudden start doing it?
Circumcision began as a medical practice in Victorian England. The Victorians thought that masturbation was the cause of all sorts of social and moral ills. It was the cause of many diseases. And so they had this massive campaign against masturbation, which included circumcision as a remedy. The thinking being, if we just cut off the most pleasurable part of the male body, then people will be less likely to engage in this awful harm. And of course, they were very successful. No one does that anymore. But the result was that, this is a joke, by the way, I don't know. Apparently it didn't go over. The result was, of course, that this became a normalized practice. And then, of course, when hospital birth began, then it was something the hospitals could charge for. And so it became sort of part of the standard hospital package.
Well, how did this become normalized in America in the first place? If nobody...
Stop circumcising the babies. What the hell are y'all doing? Why the hell are y'all still doing that? You don't even know the point. You're just doing it. You don't think that that's part of the reason why you're staying up at night? Why you have all of those sleepless nights? You don't think that they feel that? You don't think that they're crying in pain? You just think, oh, babies you just don't get no sleep at all. That's just what babies do. You don't think that that's part of the reason? You don't think that you doping up the baby fresh out of the womb is part of the reason why you can't get any sleep? You don't think that has nothing to do with it? You don't think that having doping a baby up with all these different foreign chemicals and elements and shit is doing anything to their body? You don't think they're in any sort of pain? What the hell are you doing? Stop doping up the babies. Stop circumcising the babies. They feel the shit. You ain't heard the stories about the babies passing out from circumcisions? Passing out in pain? You ain't heard the shit? Stop circumcising the babies. There's no point behind it. Stop doping the babies up fresh out the womb.
We're almost up.
It's going to have an effect on them.
5 more
They're
minutes for
going
the
to feel it.
restriction.
You don't think those days after leaving the hospital, they're not feeling that pain of mutilation every single night? You don't think that they're feeling it?
Oh, that's a good one.
Keep wondering why you can't get no sleep.
Good one.
Stop listening to them. Stop just blindly following. Stop. Stop circumcising them.
Well, guys, something else completely abnormal that we've normalized in this crazy clown world society. Circumcision. Circumcision is basically mutilation. It's so damaging for the child, as we see in this meme here. The brain of the circumcised infant is permanently changed by the surgery. It has wider energetic connotations as well. And actually the foreskin on the penis is actually the most sensitive part. So growing up, when the man engages, let's say, he loses a lot of the sensuality there. And actually it's a very important part of really connecting and bonding. All our body parts have energetic significance as well. This is why we need to question everything. Like I say, it's not always the parents' fault. They're told by quote-unquote doctors, but we need to question this. Well,
the real meaning of circumcision in the Bible doesn't mean that you need to go get clipped. As is mentioned in Jeremiah 4:4, circumcise yourself to the Lord and take away the foreskins of your heart. Ye men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire, and burn that none can quench it because of the evils of your doings. So you must remove your fleshly mind, which causes evil doings. As is also mentioned in Philippians 3:3. For we are the circumcision which worship God in the spirit and rejoice in Christ Jesus and have no confidence in the flesh. So again, you must remove your fleshly thoughts and worship God in spirit.
Okay, the appeal ended. Just watch how fast my viewer count shift goes from here on out.
The real meaning of circumcision in the Bible doesn't mean that you need to go get clipped.
Hopefully.
As is mentioned in Jeremiah 4:4, circumcise
This one's a long one. But it is cool to see the scriptures in the Bible that have a covenant with God, talking about they're going to sacrifice some foreskin for their gods, you know. It's very interesting. This one's a long one, but I do want to not get another restriction, so I am going to let these play out with people showing their faces while they do it. Maybe I can get...
Circumcision. My mind was blown when my husband was outraged when I said to him, we should circumcise our son. Of course, it's what Americans do. And he was like, why are Americans mutilating their children's body? I don't understand this. We're not Jewish. We're not Muslims. This isn't a religious right. Why would we do this? And I was shocked when I discovered that America is the only country, virtually the only country in the world that is doing this. You're going to be shocked, but it is true that there is an entire market in America for baby foreskin, and it is being sold in beauty products. Circumcision. My mind was blown when my husband was outraged.
Excuse me, guys. I'm a little sick.
Why no? Everybody see that something there, that 11-year-old they lose him life. Yo, press a like, press a share, press a follow. You see me? I'm the thinker. But yeah, man, I say, but I know everybody see that something there, everybody. 11-year-old lose him life during the circumcision surgery. I'm gonna know the circumstances under which them choose to circumcise him or why they think it was necessary.
He says circumstances and circumcise. Oh, that's hilarious.
But realize enough mothers tend to put their child under the knife early. The boy picking them, so they might get them circumcised, you know, because doctor tell them say better. In my opinion, rubbish. Most of the time, the woman them make the picking them get circumcised because them themselves don't know how to teach you how to clean himself. Now, most of them afraid to even roll over the foreskin and clean the penis because, you know, it look hot. You see me? And if I'm not sure, and I must have a male influence in the life I can direct, you know. Him not have to play a part as in physically do it, but him can tell now what to do. Stop make some irreversible decision for some for picking them where might affect them in a later on of them life. Cause at one point me did try walk with the foreskin without the foreskin for about a month or two. And after a while, the sensitivity that left me, it just feel uncomfortable and a foolishness. It don't make no sense. You see me? It don't make no sense. Is it? No fight time we buy into them bag of foolishness here where a medical expert them tell me because I trust them, because them go school for how much years, cheat on some tests and pass and say, yo, me are this and me have the best interest at heart and money. Money are the motivation, nothing else. Them not really give a frick, boy. You, your picnic, your granny, your grandfather. In most instances, university take out the love of them they have for the job. Now them just need to pay about them student loan. Hence, them just I think boy card they can swipe. When I just start Calabar, and there was a youth in a grade 9 and losing life in a similar situation. He was big in body, so them overdose him think he was an adult. Thinking that he was an adult. Never wake up. Over what? One little foreskin we can roll over and wash. You see me, all the tight to stretch that blood clear out and make it bust. And you attend to the wound. Life goes on, and we live it out, and we tough it out. And unnecessary. Just teach you them good hygiene. You see me? Yeah, man. Teach them to clean up themselves, man. Every morning, every time them bathe. Every time them piss, them wipe it off. And all of this can be avoided. Stop thinking about your preferences. You see me? This is not your man. This is your child. You see me? Make him make the decision when he's a big man. If he want, you see me? Yeah, if he want to take off the turtleneck. Why no?
Her and her boyfriend attempted to circumcise me with a razor blade when I was 4 or 5. Usually with little boys, they circumcise the children at birth or very soon after. Well, they didn't worry about that with me because I had other issues to worry about. I guess my mom thought that was disgusting. Hannah and I were doing husband and wife activities, right? And the scar tissue from Ashley and her boyfriend tore. I was like, this was almost 18 years ago. So I had to go to the doctor, obviously. Of course, it was awkward. He left. He comes back with state police officers. He said, Tracy, I have to report that. And they were dumbfounded that I didn't want to press charges. But at 22, I had to have a circumcision. At 22, 0 out of 10. Don't recommend. That was not fun. A lot of people don't understand this when I say this, but I'm so thankful that happened because the scars are gone. There are still 2 that are there. I can't see them unless you really go looking for them. And I'm really thankful for that because we're humans. We have to use the bathroom every single day.
Right.
So every single day, I had to see them and think
As a
about
reminder.
it. Her and her boyfriend attempted to circumcise me with a razor blade when I was 4.
That's crazy, man. So again, guys, I'm not here to shame people if they got circumcised or anything. I'm just here to educate. And I'm just going down the list on YouTube clips right now. I see we got a first guest up. Let's see what's up. Armani, welcome to the panel, Armani. Let's see if this works out. I have to put people's faces on here because I'll get restricted because they don't want me just to show that. They want me to put my face or my thing on there. I ain't gonna put my thing on there. You feel me? But Armani, it's not loading up correctly. You can come back if you want. Request back up. I'm gonna keep going through these TikTok slides and Just educate. We're just here for education.
Circumcised. And if I have a son, he won't be. The foreskin is an incredibly important part of a man's body. Uncut skin is much, much more sensitive. Now, I still have fun with what I have when having sex, but I wouldn't be upset about feeling even more. There's also something to be said about a baby being born and instantly putting them into a very traumatic situation, like cutting off the most sensitive part of their body. We will never know how that will affect them in the future and the relationship they have with their sex centers. Plus, if this is something he wants in his future, he can elect to do it while he's an adult. But you can't go back to cutting it within the first few weeks of their life. I'm circumcised, and if I have
I married, happened to marry an Englishman, and assumed that everybody circumcises their little boys. And I said quite casually to my husband, like, of course, you know, he's going to get circumcised right at birth to make it easier. And my husband looked mortified. He just looked at me and he said, what are you talking about? We'll circumcise our son. We're not Muslim. We're not Jewish. Why would we circumcise our son? He said to me, I am not going to allow you to mutilate my son for no reason as soon as he is born. I grew up and I was taught that that's the sanitary thing to do for children, for young boys, that you circumcise them because it's more sanitary. And I did not know that is a uniquely American perspective. I started researching only to discover that my husband was completely in the right and I was wrong. And it was stunning to me that this is just something that Americans are doing. How did just Americans begin to do that? I married, happened to marry an Englishman, and assumed that
The only thing that I've always told my patients, very, very happened. Hi, everyone.
Only to discover that
I don't even like this lady, but she has a point here.
my husband was completely in the right and I was wrong. And it was stunning to me that this is just something that Americans are doing. How did just Americans begin to do that? I married, happened.
Hi, everyone. A lot of you have asked me about circumcision. Circumcision does reduce the risk of urinary tract infection, sexually transmitted diseases, and penile cancers. There's also a reduced risk of cervical cancer in female partners. But the reduction caused by circumcision is actually very, very marginal. So the decision to circumcise is really very personal, and it's generally based on cultural and religious beliefs. So the only thing that I've always told my patients is most boys want to look just like their dads.
And it is so important that the pediatrician talks with the parents about the best interest of...
That's such a, what that last lady said is such a like a normal thing to say, especially if you're a doctor, because there's a lot of insinuations. Are you insinuating we lose length? Apparently, when you cut the nerve endings off of the foreskin, it does stunt some growth, you know. And everybody's different, you know. You know, everybody's body's different, so it's not to say that it's going to be smaller. And excuse me for showing this this diagram that it looks like it's smaller, you know. I just don't want dick cheese. This is the same guy that asked that other question, so now I know you playing, all right? You had no choice, bro. Your parents chose it for you. So before you start talking about dick cheese, you know, they never gave you a chance to wash your own shit. You feel me? So you can't be talking about that dick cheese. And you probably be the ones, right, that think you don't have to wash it now just because you got circumcised, right? So you're probably walking around with the dirtiest little cream cheese, right? You can still get cheese, bro. You can still get cheese, bro. All right? You don't have to have a hood to get cheese. You can still be a dirty motherfucker walking around with a circumcised penis.
the cultural, the religious, and the ethnic beliefs of the patients. So let's get to the risk and benefits. Okay, so some of the most common risk would be bleeding, infection, cutting the foreskin too long or too short, and then complications within the healing process. There could be surgical complications, but that's very rare. And now for the benefits. Some of the benefits include a slightly lower risk of getting urinary tract infections, a lower risk of getting HIV and sexually transmitted infections, prevention of foreskin infections.
So the lower risk would just be you putting on a condom. I mean, that's how you prevent it. And washing it, right? Hygiene. Like, there's no other... For them to, like, really convince you to get a circumcision because they're gonna be cleaner and less likely to get like an STD or or HIV is ridiculous. You know, they're pretty much encouraging your children to have sex without a condom if they get a circumcision, which is so totally the opposite. You know, here you go with bacteria. So again, this is what the doctors are saying. They're saying, you know, do it, but we're not talking about what the incentives are for the doctors to say that. They get a back pay. You know, they use the foreskin, you know, for a bunch of different medical reasons. It's not a hazardous waste, you know. It's kind of like the woman's placenta, you know, that the doctors use after they do the pregnancy thing, and how they make thousands upon thousands of tens of thousands of dollars on the placenta, enough to pay for your pregnancy if you wanted to. So for the foreskin, they use it for skin tightening stuff. They'd also use it for skin grafts. So that's why you can't really trust the doctors about all this stuff.
Although rare in all males, a decreased risk of prenatal cancer.
I do not want to hear your opinions because
But here,
any
let's just
health
listen to
benefits to circumcision. Yes, I actually did research on this. Listen to this. Medical science shows that there are significant health benefits to circumcision. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control,
We're gonna show
quote,
both
scientific
ends of
evidence
it.
is clear that the benefits outweigh the risks. Studies now show that societies with higher rates of circumcision have dramatically lower rates of urinary tract infections, sexually transmitted infections, and penile and cervical cancers. Scientists have always also discovered that prothrombin, a vitamin K
Johnny.
byproduct that
John's
causes
still
blood
there.
clotting, typically reaches
All right,
its highest
we got a
concentration in a
guest.
person's bloodstream on the 8th day after birth. And so why do I say all that? Science is now showing that by being circumcised, you are less likely to transmit health issues to your partner because it's much cleaner. It's less likely to have bacteria, all that kind of stuff that creates health problems for women. Women married to circumcised men have dramatically lower health issues. So in addition to the covenantal stuff, God is giving good health advice. Are there any health benefits to circumcision?
Okay, that's hilarious. The God part is hilarious. But yeah, look, I know the blue cheese thing, you know, it's just a joke. I had a student, man, that felt bad when they told him about that blue cheese. That's acted that way. But no worries, okay? Block, dove, no worries. I'm not here to shame anyone either about it, but you know, there will be clapbacks. You feel me? There will be.
I chose Central Coast College because it's a fast.
Do you ever wonder why everyone's circumcised? It is because the foreskin is worth $190 million.
Well, there you go.
One little foreskin. What a hot commodity that is. And so the hospitals, they have these relationships with the biotech companies, and the biotech companies are like, oh yeah, there's all these like health applications for this foreskin, but also we're going to sell it to the cosmetics companies. I'm sorry, if you're a mommy that blasted out a baby boy from your vagine, that is your foreskin to do the vampiric beauty treatment with. Not the corporations to profit from. No, that is your foreskin. And hello, how can we have college debt within that context? $190 million per foreskin? Make that make sense. And then the placenta.
Wait, what is she
Again,
saying?
you're a mama.
I was just saying this.
The
Wasn't I just
placenta
saying
is
this?
worth
Guys?
50 grand. They take that from you. They call it a biohazard. No, it is not a biohazard.
I was just saying
It is a
this.
commodity that they also sell to the cosmetics company. Okay, moms, no, you take the placenta and you smush it on your face and you make a placenta face mask for yourself. And then you have glowing skin for the rest of your life.
What did she say the foreskin's worth more than a placenta? All right, let's run this one back. What is she talking about?
Do you ever wonder why everyone's circumcised? It is because the foreskin is worth $190 million. What?
$190 million. She must be talking about like cumulative, like U.S. like like year round, right? She must be. She's not talking about per foreskin.
A little foreskin. What a hot commodity that is. And so the hospitals, they have these relationships with the biotech companies, and the biotech companies are like, oh yeah, there's all these like health applications for this foreskin, but also we're going to sell it to the cosmetics companies. I'm sorry, if you're a mommy that blasted out a baby boy from your vagine, that is your foreskin to do the vampiric beauty treatment with.
Yes, I don't know if I have to look this up. You know, I can't validate that, or not validate it, but I can't confirm it. I have to go see how much per foreskin, how much money do the doctors get or the hospitals get, you know. But with that, we got a new guest, Organic. What's up? Welcome to the panel.
Hello, pervert.
Okay, you can get dropped any day, bro. Go live in the fucking comments, all right? Because you must have a small little penis, you know? That's why you are feeling the type of way you're feeling, you know? I'm a pervert because I want to talk about, you know, I mean, I could see how that can go that way, but if you want to inform yourself about your thing, you know, that's one thing. But if you just want to, I mean, what is a pervert, right? A pervert is looking at this and thinking perversion, you know, thinking what you're thinking in your head. So, anyways, again, we're up here to educate people. I'm here to take testimonies, and I'm here to educate. We had over 800 people last time. We had doctors, we had nurses talk about this. And I do want to hear people's perspectives. Let's try Jesse. Hey, Jesse, what's going on? Jesse Chavez. Anyways, if anybody has any information about how much a foreskin is in the hospitals, because they just don't get rid of it. They reuse it, you know, for medical reasons. Oh, I guess he dropped. I wanna confirm what this lady is saying is true about how much foreskins are worth, you know, compared to placentas, you know. So with that, let's keep going through these TikTok reels to learn. And I'm not here to shame people whether they have it or not. But here to take testimonies.
I have never received a question on circumcision, so kudos to you,
Oh
man.
my God, Charlie Kirk has an opinion.
And a very important issue, by the way.
Let's
The
hear.
rest of the world
Let's hear
does not
his opinion.
circumcise. There's a lot more errors when it comes to circumcision than people would ever.
Again, I'm not for Charlie Kirk or anything like that. I'm scrolling through TikTok, just seeing what different people's perspectives are. And the reason why I'm showing it, because they will restrict me if I don't put my face on it. So I'm not going to show my face. So I'm going to show their faces.
Tell you it's not for cleanliness, and there's a lot more issues with it related. 75% of the world does not circumcise, so just keep that in mind. I have never received.
All right.
2 infant boys have gotten the herpes virus after they got circumcised. Now authorities, including the health department, are investigating this case. Now they were circumcised by an Orthodox Jewish family. It was part of their tradition, and part of the problem is after the circumcision took place, they applied something known as direct oral suction.
Oh shit. Yeah, the Jewish thing, the Jewish tradition of them doing it. So people smegma, this won't help. So people smegma, this won't help. So people that have smegma, which is a normal thing, it's like natural lubricant, but it's just like sweat or whatever. It's not a big deal if you wash it, you know. But people that want to make fun of people with foreskin say that a lot.
Baby, let me tell you something. I'm kind of shocked that some of y'all females do not know what circumcised is. And y'all think that every man is supposed to have a thing that looks like an elephant trunk. No, not at all. If your man is circumcised, you are going to see his head. You are going to see his head, baby. right out the gate. If he's not circumcised, baby, it's gonna look just like an elephant trunk. Just like an elephant trunk, baby. It's extra skin. All right? You gotta pull the skin back just to see the head. And it kind of suck, man, for the folks that's not circumcised, because I know it takes extra work, baby. You gotta pull the skin back. You gotta clean it real good, because, baby, I know stuff get trapped up in there. Because, baby, it's like a hood. It's like a hood over a head. You see what I'm saying? But yes, to the ones that do not know what circumcision is, baby, it's when the man is a child, he has a surgical procedure, and it cuts off that little piece of skin so the head can be sitting out, baby. If his head just not sitting out, baby, you can't see it. You got to pull the skin back just to see it, baby. That means he is not circumcised. All right? All right.
So it sounds like she likes circumcised men, And a lot of this conversation is about them being very uninformed about, or she's the one that kind of like goes on with this tangent that is for aesthetic pleasing for her. She'd rather see a man circumcised than uncircumcised. And the reasons that she talks about was that it looks like an elephant trunk, and she doesn't like that look, so she's telling men, get a circumcision because it's aesthetically pleasing for her, and there's some true about like men that don't wash themselves, not being hygienic, like that's an obvious thing, and there are men like that, just like there are women like that don't wash their thing down there, and you should pick the right partner to have, these encounters with. So I'm guessing she just had really bad experiences with uncircumcised men. And so she always rather have a circumcised penis. She'd rather see the head. But what she doesn't know is that if you are uncircumcised and you have an erection, it looks like a circumcised penis. You're going to see the head. When it's small, when it's not erect, you're going to see that elephant trunk because the skin does go over it. It protects it like a little hood, So, but she doesn't like that look, she doesn't care about why it's, she doesn't care about men in that sense. She just wants it to look like that, so that's up to her, everybody has to each his own, but I don't think she's like informed about it. And I'm pretty sure when she has kids, she's going to elect to get them circumcised. That's a fact, just by listening to her. Let's go with we got a new guest. Intact activist. What's going on? Oh, this must be like
Hey, Afro.
What's up? What's up, Intact?
Hey, no, just want to say hello and thank you for supporting the cause. I don't think I've ever met you here before, so it's always nice to find new intactivists. I'm assuming you're one of them. Yeah.
I see you. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know there was a movement on this.
Oh, yes. Yes, there certainly is. Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you look online, look up Bloodstained Men. It's a group that.
Oh, yes, I have seen that. Yeah, you're right. I have seen that. But
yep, I'm one of them. I recently joined my first demonstration in February in San Francisco. It was awesome. So
awesome. Are you in the Bay Area?
No, I'm in Seattle. So
okay.
It wasn't too long. It was only like an hour and a half or 2-hour flight at the most. So not bad.
How was the event? Was it a good turnout?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, there were like 20 of us. Or no, maybe not 20. I take that back. I think there were 14 or 16, 18, somewhere in that ballpark. But it was the biggest turnout yet in the history of Bloodstained Men, and it was over a course of a week. And unfortunately, I had to leave a few days early, but it was absolutely amazing getting out on the streets and getting the word out and handing out little information cards and stuff. It was fantastic. Of course, we also had a few people who voiced their opposition, and that's to be expected. Yeah, but it was wonderful.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I'm happy you had a good turnout here. It's just been really interesting to talk about this and get people's testimonies and stuff, and listening to, just educating myself about it,
Right.
Yeah, most definitely. And having big turnouts here. We had over 800 people last time.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I followed you back. I record my
Thank you.
I record my live. So we had MDs up there, we had doctors, we had doulas, we had a bunch of educated people to talk about it and be more
Wow.
informed about it. So yeah, you should try it out. You should try it out here on live.
Yeah, no, I've gone live before, and 800 people is amazing because like most of the quote unquote activists or whatever you want to call us, oh, there's MK. Well, the most we typically get is somewhere between 100, probably around 100, and so 800 is phenomenal. Yeah, and actually I just want to mention one thing real quick before
Yeah, shoot.
MK because I know MK
Well, yeah,
quite well.
yeah. I'll let everybody say what their piece. I
Yeah,
usually
so
introduce people, and then if you're hoodie, no hoodie,
right.
and all that stuff.
So Afro, are you familiar with the video Elephant in the Hospital by Ryan McAllister?
I have not. I have
Okay.
not.
It's a
If you
half hour.
want to,
Go ahead.
yeah, put it in the comments for the people listening in so they can tune in as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, but go on.
Yeah, so it's or maybe MK can do it while I'm talking. I have a hard time. I'm walking my dog, so it's kind of hard to type, walk, and talk. But it's Elephant in the Hospital. It's a half hour long. It's by Ryan McAllister. He's an associate research professor at Georgetown for physics and oncology, and he talks about the history of circumcision, what the claimed benefits are, and why every one of those benefits is false. And then he talks about the risks of circumcision and why we should stop doing it. It's fantastic. It's only half hour long. And then the other thing I suggest to people, if you want to really go deep and dive, is there's a book called The Final Cut: The Truth About Circumcision by Jonathan Meddings. And he has written over 100 medical papers, and he has co-authored writing biology textbooks and such. So those are two sources that have been incredibly helpful to me. And I'll go ahead and type. I'll go ahead and type the name of the video right now in the chat, and then if you want to talk with MK, MK is amazing.
For
So
sure,
thank you,
Tim.
Afro. Yep, I'm putting
Thank
it
you,
in there
Tim.
right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for those resources or those sources. Definitely go check them out. And then, yeah, thank you for putting it in the comments as well. Yeah, okay. So MK, go ahead and introduce yourself. If you're hoodie, no hoodie, came out. Obviously, this is Tim. But go ahead and introduce yourself, and if you want to speak on the prompt or what's been said so far.
Yeah, so I just dropped that link in the comments.
Okay.
So I'm actually the director of recruiting for Bloodstained Men. I travel the country with him. We'll be in Washington, D.C. on, actually in like 2 weeks, March 28th through, I believe it runs through April 4th. We'll be in D.C. at the Capitol protesting against circumcision.
All right. Go support these brothers and go ahead and follow them. And if you're interested in joining them, I'm sure they will inform you some more. MK, do you want to talk about how you got into this or speak on the prompt?
Well, I've got some speech issues right now. I actually have Bell's palsy. It's really affecting me really badly. So
don't
my
worry.
speech is
Don't
kind of
worry.
messed up. But
Don't worry about it.
ultimately, my nephew almost died from his. And so that's what really got me into doing the research and being actively advocating against it. I've always been against it. I'm not cut myself. So when you live the life, you realize that all the claims out there are bullshit. But
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I'll leave
Right.
it. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, sounds good. I appreciate you guys. I just seen something with Joe Rogan. I'm not a fan, but he was talking about
child who is abnormally large at 2 years old because the father was taking testosterone cream.
Oh, is this
And
it? No, this is it. This is
you got any of
it.
those hydrogens? Yeah, I mean, when you go on, I think.
God damn it, I forgot it. But anyways, he talks about a lot of kids that were unalived through circumcision. And I never knew about that. That's stacked.
Yeah, there's as far as what you just mentioned, Afro. Do you mind if I call you Afro?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as what you mentioned, Afro, there are anywhere between 30 and 120 children in just America that pass away from circumcision every year. And of course, the number of children that pass away from it in other countries, like in the Middle East, is probably far higher. But it's not a well-known fact, and it's a very small percentage of children that don't survive this cosmetic procedure. But any number of children that pass away from a completely medically unnecessary procedure is too many children. So I could go on, and MK and I, we know a lot about this particular subject. So
Right.
if anyone has any questions, I'm absolutely certain between the two of us, we could all answer almost any question. I myself, I actually agreed to having my son circumcised 29 years ago, and his mother wanted it done in the Jewish traditional method, where the moil comes to the home and does it, and it was absolutely horrific. He didn't use any painkiller at all, and my son screamed and cried, and I said to him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, this is what we do." And I said, "Well, you have to stop." And he said, "I can't. I've already started." And it
Right.
was just horrific. And from that moment on, I said, I'll do anything I can to end this horrible practice. Yeah. So that's my story.
Yeah, I appreciate that testimony. I mean, it's similar with my mom. She saw her cousin pregnancy, and she saw what happened in that room, and she vowed not to get it done when she had a kid. So that was her experience to it. Now, with the unalivings due to circumcision, do you think it's more based off the pain that they go through, or botchery, or like a malpractice, or maybe even both? Because I've heard this one thing about how the babies are too small to receive anesthesia, or too much of it, so they do feel a lot more of the pain because of their kidneys being small. But I haven't fact checked that.
Okay, do you
But
want to answer that, or you want me to? All right, I'll go ahead and answer. So, the reason why they pass away from the procedure, there are a number of reasons why. And, of course, we've all heard about SIDS, and there are theories regarding what causes SIDS. And I'm not necessarily going to go down that rabbit hole, but some of them could be related to circumcision. Another one is just simply bleeding out. A baby infant only has about a cup of blood in their body, 1 cup. And a loss of about 2 tablespoons of blood is enough to unalive a child. And so what happens is sometimes the parents, they, for whatever reason, they don't notice that the baby is bleeding, especially like in the middle of the night when the baby is sleeping. And the ultra absorbent diapers, disposable diapers, they soak up all the blood, in which case you don't even see it. And the baby could easily pass away that way. And then there are also, it could happen from infections or a number of other complications. So it's not necessarily a quote unquote botched procedure or botched circumcision, although a botched circumcision could certainly increase the chance of unaliving. So there are all different reasons and why, but the statistics are not accurately tracked. There's no database that accurately tells the number of children who have passed away from this. So it's kind of hard to track.
right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it make yeah, and I'm sure they don't want a record of this to stain their
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Yep.
So
And
yeah.
but the undeniable fact is that at least 30 children per year typically pass away from this in America. Now, granted, there are like 3,000 being done every day, so the number is incredibly small. But if there were 30 children per year dying from like car seats, like problematic car seats, well, damn well they would pull those car seats off the market. But in this case, practically nothing is done.
And it's kind of like the sacrifice one has to make for this procedure to keep on going.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So how many are we willing to sacrifice? And that number is no number is good numbers. In that
Right.
case.
Yeah, and the doctors, I mean, we're the only country in the world that performs this for quote unquote non-religious reasons. And so the doctors, many of them know what they're doing. Many of them openly admit that what they're doing is not medically necessary, but they continue to do it. And so, but they won't necessarily put that in writing. You don't see any MDs posting videos online on TikTok saying, circumcision is completely medically unnecessary. Very, very few of them, if any, will do that. They'll say, it's the parent's choice, and it might possibly help reduce UTIs, blah blah blah. But then none of them have the cojones
Right.
to say this is wrong, but we do it anyway. Because it's their practice, it's their reputation.
Right, right. And I think also there might be some incentives in the back end, I mean,
Oh,
when
totally.
we're talking about
Financial.
how they're using the foreskin for something. It's not a hazardous byproduct.
No, it's because they sell it to the cosmetic industry. And
Hmm.
and I just learned something today too that I thought was kind of interesting. The biggest promoter or supporter of circumcision are the lubrication companies, like Astroglide and KY and all them, because the foreskin provides a natural lubricant, and as soon as it's removed, then you have to add lubricant. I
Yeah,
just
that makes
learned
a
that
lot of
today.
sense. That makes a lot of sense in the corn industry, how they just
Yeah.
they go wild on that stuff.
Exactly. Yep. It's
And
kind of
they
funny
and,
you mentioned it's kind of funny you mentioned the corn industry because now that the internet has made corn available worldwide, no matter where you are in the world, you can watch corn from any other country. You're seeing more and more intact men in performing in corn, and they have no problem with it. And in some cases, it looks a whole lot better than without the foreskin. So it's a matter of aware. I mean, the public is just becoming more and more aware of the reality of it, and it's just a matter of time before it's completely. But
right.
before the rate of circumcision in America drops down to the level where it is in Europe, which is pretty close to zero. Maybe the single digits. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so like in America, back in the like 60s, 70s, or 80s, it was up in the like 80% nationwide. And now it's down to hovering around 50% nationwide. So every year it's slowly declining. But I think the rate of decline is going to increase quickly due to the internet and lives like the one you're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, I do want to ask you guys this question before I move on to loss, and I do appreciate, and I'm going to do these more often. I think there's a lot of people get a lot of information from here in these kind of situations where we're getting like both sides. And I want you guys to give me an answer for somebody that I know you guys are totally against it, and I try not to shame people just because I want them to come up here and be vulnerable about their situation. So even I want testimony from people that are circumcised. And, I always get a lot of pushback too. And I have to deal with people that are insecure or immature about these conversations. But if you were to say you had to run into some parents that were going to go forward with it, right? And that there's nothing else we can convince them about why not to do it, what would be the what would be the type of advice you would tell them about when to do it to their child? Because I would say find a good surgeon, find that one that's reputable, do it as early as possible, or all these other things that I'm hearing from other people about all these other situations, because once they get a circumcision later on, like down the line, they say that they wait like a year or two to get it done to their children, which could be more painful. Or what I mean, out of your expertise, like what would be the conditions that you would recommend a child to get, besides surgical reasons, right? Like, or medical reasons to do it, outside of those, right? Like maybe their foreskin's
So
too
here,
tight.
so Afro,
So
first of all, hold on, MK. Well, real quick, I just want to say, first
Hmm.
of all, I would never advise a parent give them any information whatsoever as to when might be the quote unquote best time to do it. Period. The
Hmm.
end. I would do
Hmm.
everything I could to advise them against that, and not once would I ever consider giving them any advice on when is the best time. All right, go ahead, MK.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
So, a couple things. There's a study that was done in 2024 that showed circumcised boys have 3 times as many penile problems as uncircumcised boys. That study also looked at the provider doing the circumcision, and they found that if they were circed by a urologist or a surgeon, they had double the complication rate as those circed by OBs or pediatricians. So I wouldn't necessarily say find a urologist or a surgeon or a specialist, because their complication rates are higher. As far as when to do it, if you're absolutely set on doing it, it doesn't matter. You're still gonna fuck up your kid, right? You're still causing damage no matter what. The most painful part of the procedure is breaking up the adhesions. So they have to separate. It's actually adhered to the glands. They have to break that up. So that being the most painful part, I would say wait until after that's separated naturally. But that puts them at between 5 and 11 years old. So that's kind of a rough area to be in to have that procedure done. There's no good time to do it, period. Right? There's no time when the risk is minimal. If we have to really talk about minimizing risk, I would say 18. Because at 18, they're old enough to understand it. They can make decisions for themselves. And it's already released its own adhesions, so it's less painful for them. It's less likely to cause unaliving. So, I mean, there's not a good time to do it, but wait till they're a damn adult and can decide on their own.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say as well. 18 is coincidentally when they become a legal adult to make that decision on their own. That's the only time I would ever recommend or suggest they get it done, is when the person being cut has a voice in the matter. That's it. Period. The end.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough answers. And I would have said the same. I've advised people based off the testimonies that I've heard, right? And so, like, I'm not to say that I'm fully educated about the matter, and that maybe I never heard about what MK had just said about the glands and stuff like that, and when it'd be. But yeah, I would say, like, give since the child does not have consent, and let him choose later down the life if that's a thing that he chooses, just like any body modification that you get on your body,
Right.
So yeah, all right, I appreciate
Can I
both of
add?
your.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Go
If
ahead.
you don't mind.
Go ahead, Tim.
So like you said, if the parent was like, "We're getting this done," period, the end, no ifs, ands, or buts, then I would say to them two things. Okay, number one, if you can, find a provider and make absolutely damn sure that the provider is going to use anesthesia, because they can give a local anesthesia. They can give a spinal block or whatever the hell it's called. They can inject anesthesia into the base of the penis, one shot on each side, which will remove hopefully eliminate the excruciating pain of what MK just described. Now, there's no way to be sure it will, because the baby, we can't tell with certainty if the anesthesia is working, if they've waited long enough, because the baby can't answer when the doctor says, "Does this hurt?" Like they do at the dentist's office. They poke you with the sharp tool before they start drilling and say, "Hey, do you feel this?" And you say, "No." And they're like, "Okay, we'll start drilling." So that's number one. And then number two thing I would do, because like I said, if you get it done like by a Jewish mohel in the home, they will almost never use anesthesia. In which case, what MK just described, separating the foreskin from the head of the penis is excruciatingly painful. It's like comparable to torture. And then the second thing is, I would tell them, all right, if you're gonna do it, please just watch the YouTube video "Elephant in the Hospital" first. It's only a half an hour long. That's all I want, is just invest a half an hour of the 9.5 months or 9 months it takes to grow a baby, and watch the video. And then if you still want to do it, fine.
Okay, fair enough. I will put it back in the chat if I can
Thank
find
you.
it here. All right, with that, let's go ahead and move on to Lost. And Lost, can I get you to introduce yourself with your I usually say with your race, ethnicity, and I say that because I hear different cultures, different people doing different things. I know I didn't ask both MK and Tim, but go ahead and introduce yourself any way you'd like, and then if you're Hoodie Gang, no Hoodie Gang, and if you want to respond to anything these two individuals have said, or if you want to just speak on the prompt, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a white dude in the South.
You gotta speak up, Lost. Can barely hear you.
You're a little muffled, Lost. I'm sorry. If you can get closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, better. It's a little better. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm a Caucasian individual in Tennessee, and I am feverishly against the practice of routine infant circumcision.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your position, Lost. Do you want to add to the conversation? Why not? Maybe give us your own testimony about it.
Well, I'm in the same position as Intactivist Tim. My son was born in 2014, and this was 2 years after the AAP said the benefits outweighed the risk, right? And I didn't question it enough. So now I feel obligated to speak out against it.
Awesome, Lost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the more and more I hear about fathers going through this and then being like activists at or trying to educate people about what they're and having that like I could have done something more if I was more educated kind of sentiment, is very, very telling, and very emotionally driven, more of a reason to go out there and not wish that on another father to experience, So very important, very important.
Yeah, well, I'm very educated now, and they can't defend this practice. This practice is causing central sensitization. And a while ago, Intactivist Tim said he would advise a local, but even the locals and the cream at the same time don't stop a level of sensitization from occurring. Now, when I say sensitization, I'm talking about the central nervous system becoming overly sensitive. Right? This rewires our HPA axis and changes our nervous system fundamentally on how we interact with not just other people, right? It affects our bonding hormones, oxytocin. It affects.
He's talking about the pain that the child experiences from the circumcision and afterwards. So even if they get anesthesia, which the pain, anesthesia itself causes significant pain. The shot and the anesthesia, the burning sensation. So that causes pain. And then when the baby goes home, he has an open wound that's exposed to feces and urine for several days until it heals. And so he's going to be experiencing pain on a daily basis for up to a week until it heals. That's what Lost has done a lot of his research on. So go ahead. Please continue,
Yes.
Lost. I just had to clarify that.
Specifically, there's this study. It's the TADDIO study, TADDIO. It took place in 1997, and that's where they tested babies' pain response to vaccines later, right? So they circumcised one group of babies with anesthesia, and they didn't circumcise another group, and then they circumcised a group without anesthesia, right? So that right there tells you it's unethical experimentation because they're doing that. But anyway, the findings found that all of the children who were circumcised had a higher pain response to vaccines later, right? And it showed that though the ones who got the pain management had a less severe response than the ones who didn't get pain management, they still had a higher pain response than the kids who weren't cut at all. So this shows that some level of sensitization to the nervous system is happening. Now, what's that mean? That means we feel pain stronger. We enter fight or flight easier, and it's harder for us to come out of it. And they knew this. The medical establishment knew this in the 90s, but they didn't bother changing the policy in a meaningful way. They just built up more hyperbolic bullshit surrounding the benefits. This is a scam, and it's the biggest human rights violation on the face of the planet. And when America actually finds out what's been happening to their children on the medical establishment's watch, there should be real reform.
Hey, Afro, one thing I'd like to also just mention, if you don't mind, is that when doctors, in addition to what Lost just said, because he focuses a lot on the pain and the medicine and psychology of circumcision, I'm more about the ethics of it. And not to say that I don't believe everything he says. I know it's all true, but for me personally, I know that when doctors become doctors, when they finally get their certificate as a doctor, they take an oath. It's called the Hippocratic Oath, which states, first, do no harm. And when you have an infant baby boy who is born healthy, and you remove healthy tissue from a healthy baby boy for no medical necessity, you are incurring harm on this child unnecessarily. They're
You're
violating
violating
the
that oath,
they're
right? Yeah.
violating the Hippocratic oath that they take. Every single doctor in America takes this oath, and I'm sure to a degree, I'm sure many other countries, when they certify doctors as doctors, they take a similar oath. And when you consider what are the qualifications to perform surgery, typically it's a person has to be considered a quote unquote patient, and to be a patient, they have to have a disease or illness. And doctors are not authorized to perform surgery on people unless they're patients. And healthy baby boys are technically not considered patients. The only exception is when you're an adult. If you want to have cosmetic procedure and you give consent, then the doctor will do it. But a doctor typically will never perform surgery on a healthy child unless it's medically necessary. So, for example, if a baby is in an accident, a child's in a car accident, they need to have surgery to save their life. They can't find the parents or an adult that can authorize it. Then the doctors, obviously, the emergency room doctors, will perform the surgery. But otherwise, doctors are not technically, legally, ethically allowed to perform surgery on healthy babies. And there's an attorney. His name's Eric Klopper, and he's actually the founder of Intact Global, and he's currently suing the state of Oregon because Oregon has child protection laws on their books, but they only enforce them for girls and not boys. And so he's suing the state of Oregon on behalf of two families, claiming that their child protection laws are unconstitutional because they don't defend them. They don't support them for baby boys like they do baby girls. So just two things to consider.
Okay, thank you for that
Yep.
insight. Lost, do you want to say anything before I move on to the next guest? I do want to show two quick clips of like some research concluded from. I'm gonna have to get where I heard or who this guy is and what he represents, but some information he wanted to add on. But Lost, do you want to say anything before I move on to Xavier? I'm sure he has some questions or whatever.
I mean, we can move on to Xavier. That's fine.
Okay, he's teacupped up right now. Xavier, I just want to show this quick research thing right here. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he represents, but let's listen to him.
There is really solid research that circumcision has a lasting change in behavior that it produces. And that research is acknowledged even by pro-circumcision medical organizations. They did a study where infants who were receiving vaccination later in life, there was a group of them that responded much more dramatically to pain. And they were trying to figure out, why is it that one group just is having this incredible abreaction to pain. And what they found is that the group that had that reaction was the circumcised infants. So these infants, receiving a vaccination between age 4 and 6. Yeah. And what the researchers concluded from that was that they were having a PTSD response. They had a painful experience during circumcision, and then, they received this other pain 4 to 6 months later, and it triggers the somatic memory of that previous experience and causes a change in behavior.
Oh, okay, there it is. His book is Children's Justice by Brendan Murata.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just talking about. That's the Taddeo study he's talking about.
Oh,
And
okay. Well, there you go.
Brendan's also the producer of a documentary called American Circumcision, which is available for free on the internet. Fantastic documentary about circumcision. He interviews both doctors and scientists, etc., that are both pro and against circumcision.
Awesome. Well, what a coincidence. Coincidence, because I just had heard this and I thought it was pretty interesting. Okay, with that, let's go to Xavier. Xavier, can I get your race, your ethnicity, where you're from? And if you're Hoodie Gang, no Hoodie Gang.
You said race, ethnicity, and where I'm from.
Yeah, please.
I'm black, African American, from America, and I'm anti-circumcision.
Okay, cool. Welcome to the panel. Do you want to respond to anything that's been said so far, or speak on the prompt?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked on these panels before, and I never understand why people are so adamant. Like, they won't. Like, people are free to make the choice that they can with their bodies if they've been given that choice, right? But if you're a parent and you decide to circumcise your infant child, you've actually removed that choice from them. And I just never could understand, like, ethically, or maybe it's a moral question, like, why not just let them make that choice for themselves? And then they say, well, it's gonna hurt later. I'd rather just, you know, cut it off. But still, it's like, your adults get to make consenting, self-informed decisions all the time that can be cosmetic, and and they acknowledge the pain that they're going to go through, right? So I just I can't understand that. Like, that's the biggest thing I tell people. Like, if you're so for circumcision, just let your child grow up and make that choice for themselves. Why would you do that to an infant child unnecessarily? And then also, if circumcision never existed and I came to you guys today and presented this idea, I think most people would say, heck no, that's insane. That sounds barbaric. But it kind of tells you, like, the level of sort of, like, not brainwashing, but social conditioning that we are unaware of. Because if quite frankly, if you weren't born in America or in many places in continental Africa or the Middle East, you would never want to do that. You would have no need to do that because the majority of your society probably doesn't practice it. And it's also just as disgusting when it happens to female infant children.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. I think we're all on the same page here. I have to take a call right now. An activist, if I can make you a moderator for just if you're willing to stick around a little bit longer. I don't know if you mind.
Yeah,
Or
you
do
know,
you
I
have
would love to, but unfortunately I have to go. I was just about to say thank you for bringing me up, and
no
but
worries?
I do have to go. And any other day or time, I'd be more than glad to. But thank you
Okay,
so
sounds
much, though,
good.
Afro.
Really
You're
nice to
awesome.
meet you.
Maybe
Thank you for
Lostwood. I know Lost very well. He's a great guy, very smart.
yeah, either one of you guys or Xavier, even if you guys want to help me out real quick. I got to make a call. We got 186 people on here.
Yeah, I got you.
And if you guys want, you guys can keep speaking about it before a new guest arrives. Have you guys been moderators before? You know how to get people, bring people up, and mute people if they act stupid, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just did that. I'll do Xavier too. Xavier, are you willing to be a mod too? Oh, you got to follow me back though.
You don't. I'm probably gonna go soon. You don't have to make me.
Okay, cool.
But Lost is cool. I've talked with him before.
All right, Lost. I just gave you mod power. If you want to keep talking, or if you want to play clips, I usually play clips of other information just to keep people interested in it. But if you want to keep speaking, or you can just be quiet and just wait until another person arrives. No pressure, okay, Lost? To do whatever as a mod.
Right. I'm tripping on this redhead demon in here.
Oh yeah, or if you want to answer questions as they pop up or whatever, you can block people too if they're being idiots. But I have to take this call real quick. I'll be right back. Okay.
All
right. Thank you, Lost.
Yeah. So what's up, Xavier?
Yo, what's up? Also, yeah, I was just learning and listening. All the sources that you provide, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, they don't, the doctors and shit, they don't like me. I'm taking them to court in the court of public opinion on TikTok now. People like Dr. Drew and Dr. Dan. Dr. Drew says that loud sounds in infancy causes pain like stress, right? So why isn't he doing anything about the pain like stress that is pain? He recognizes he recognizes that it's not necessary, and he understands neonatal neurology. And when I see someone like that, and I know that they understand neonatal urology, and they're not louder than me, even though they got an ethical imperative to be so, oh man, it just sets me on fire. It's like Tim was talking about earlier. They took an oath to first do no harm, but when it's a baby boy, they do harm first.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and then if if somehow or sometime like people do like make the pass laws that sort of outlaw this practice, I'm certain people are gonna look back at this like what a barbaric procedure.
I personally don't like that terminology because the barbarians wouldn't even do this sick shit. This is worse than that. We got to find something to call it that's worse than barbaric, because as barbaric as the barbarians was, they were too civilized to torture newborn babies for corporate profit or sexual preference. This is the most insane thing in the world.
Hey guys, I just want to let you know I'm still here. I just have to go on me time, and that's why I wasn't able, why I didn't wouldn't be able to be a moderator. But I'm still here, and I'll try to hang in as long as I can. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you guys. It's really no different than, foot binding or any FGM, any other similar practice. Yeah, history will show that, 100 years from now, people are going to look back and say, "Holy cow, it's hard for our children." I see MK's back as well. That's cool.
So, Parapla 18, whatever your name is, you said, what is the cost of circumcision? The cost of circumcision is your child's right to bodily autonomy. I can tell you over the last 10 years, the state of Pennsylvania has spent over $60 million on circumcisions, on Medicaid anyway. And of that, a quarter of it, so 15 million, was spent on revisions, corrections, and fixing botched circumcisions or complications. So the complication rate in Pennsylvania is around 20%.
Hey, Pinky, you said that you've been feeling guilty and justified at the same time. You had a strong conviction. What was your strong conviction? The reason I ask that is there are many parents, like in particular in the Jewish culture, who are very conflicted regarding circumcision. On one hand, they, believe according to their religious script, their religious Torah, etc., that they are required to circumcise their child. However, they also feel horrible about, in some cases, about causing pain and suffering on their child. So that's why I was asking, Pinky, what do you mean by strong conviction? Hello, Epileptic. Nice to see you joining us in the comments. Xavier, do you have any questions that Lost, myself, or MK could answer while we're waiting for Afro to return?
Sorry?
I said, do you have any questions by any chance that MK, Lost, or myself could answer while we're waiting for Afro to return?
Oh no, I'm just hanging out. I'm actually cleaning, so I was kind of just
Oh, okay.
listening. Yeah.
Mary says this topic is only for males, and she's completely wrong. This is a human topic. It's a human rights issue that applies to both men and women. I mean, women are the ones who, you know, grow the baby for 9 months and give birth to the baby. So it's certainly, you know, they certainly have a right in the say as well.
And also principally, like the same principles should apply. Female circumcision or female mutilation still happens, right? I think like a pageant winner, Miss, I forget who she was, but she went pretty big, and she like dedicated her pageant to like speaking about how she was mutilated. And she's like a black British person from Somalia, and so
Yeah,
yep.
I think lost my. I know who you're talking about. Um, and Tiresias says it's very simple infant genital mutilation. Yes, of course. Circumcision is genital mutilation. It is comparable to female genital mutilation. They are one and the same. And there are some forms of female genital mutilation that are less severe than circumcision. For example, there's a method called pricking where they take a pin and they just prick part of the genitalia, whether it's the clitoral hood or the labia minora, labia majora, whatever it is. They prick it just to draw like one drop of blood, symbolic blood. There's also a ritual nick where they take a razor blade and they make a little nick in part of the genitalia of a female to again draw a little bit of blood without removing any tissue. Those are both called female genital mutilation, and they are both federally illegal in America since 1996, and they are both less severe than removing the entire foreskin of a baby boy. So, as far as I'm concerned, and many others, infant circumcision certainly is male genital mutilation and should be and eventually will be federally illegal, just like female genital mutilation.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that there's the yeah, we're talking about British FGM survivor. There's a FGM survivor from Somalia. Her name is Sorora Murray, and she's went on a video saying that circumcision is the same as FGM, is the same thing to me because mutilation is mutilation. That's what she said. She said it was the child was brought before me and he was strapped like a goat to a table, and it was, I can't remember word for word, but it's pretty close. She wrote a book called The Girl with Three Legs, where she talked about how girls in her community were shamed if they didn't have this horribly invasive genital mutilation happen to them. She's an intactivist hero, in my opinion.
All right. Thanks again for holding it down, guys. Again, I'd like to thank. Thanks again for holding it down, guys. I was kind of watching from the other end too. I'd like to thank the Inactivist. What's your organizations? Shout out to the organizations that you guys represent. Maybe in a little
Bloodstained
bit.
Men.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I thought
no.
you guys. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
no,
Greg.
thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, so Bloodstained Men and Their Friends is one of them. That's the one that where we get out on the streets and protest or demonstrate. That's the one that MK Intact, who's on the panel right now, he's the director of recruiting. And there's a gentleman by the name of Brother K, who's the founder of the organization. He started it way back in the 70s, he and his partner. And then there's also Intact Global. That's the organization that's founded by Eric Hopper, who is suing the state of Oregon. There's another one called Your Whole Baby, and they have lots of resources for parents. And they're kind of like they present themselves in a non-threatening manner. They're trying to educate parents more so than try to forcefully sway them one way or the other. That's called Your Whole Baby. So those are a couple resources that people can look up and reach out to. And then and before I leave, I'll just mention one last time again the video. Elephant in the Hospital is a great one, and I also put there's a link. I put a link in the video in the chat about a funny video that College Humor. If anyone's familiar with the College Humor videos, they did one about circumcision. While you're talking,
Awesome.
I'll find the link and put it back in there because it's only 3.5 minutes long,
Awesome.
and it's funny, and they in under 4 minutes they completely debunk the all the myth about circumcision. So I'll find it and put it in the chat while you take over. So thank you very much, Afar. I appreciate
Yeah,
your support.
beautiful. Yeah. And again, I'm not telling you. I'm not saying I'm ending it. Maybe I'll end it like in a half an hour because I do have to go. But I just wanted to remind the people listening in about what you guys do, and I do appreciate you guys for coming on up and having your testimonies and your research, because that's what we're about. We're about educating people, and again, it's been a very interesting journey of even talking about this. But if I can ask you guys something about this diagram, because I get a lot of things about this diagram, and I just pulled it out of the internet, to talk about it. But is there anything in the diagram that you guys see that is either true or false? And this whole thing about, this diagram actually had a smaller circumcised phallus there, and I had to like enlarge it, give it a little girth, give it a little but I had to do that so that people weren't insecure about their thing. But is there anything in the diagram that you guys can point out that might be either false or true, or your perspective on the diagram alone? And then the big thing about if you get circumcised, is your thing gonna get smaller? So can you guys answer to those two questions, and
Yeah,
then
no,
I'll go from there.
I'd actually like to, if you don't mind, Lost. So yeah, the diagram for all practical purposes, yes, it's accurate. Although it's kind of hard to tell, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. This is not an actual picture of the human body, but it makes an attempt to show, what all the parts are and how they're lost, by circumcision. So for example, like the frenulum's actually on the bottom portion of the penis, and it's not always completely removed when the baby's circumcised, but in most cases it's completely removed, and that's a very sensitive part. And then, as far as the ridge band and the dartos muscle at the tip of the foreskin, those are also incredibly sensitive, thousands and thousands of nerve endings. And, they kind of like didn't really, like you said, you had to enlarge the circumcised one. It's actually still in the diagram. It's still really smaller than it should be. In length, it should be equal to the uncircumcised one, because when they remove the skin, that in itself doesn't make the penis shorter. It certainly removes a little bit of the quote unquote girth, at least when the person is not erect. Now, when an uncircumcised person becomes erect, in many cases the foreskin kind of like unfolds and accommodates the increased length of the penis, in which case it almost appears as if he is circumcised. So that's why I said that, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But um, one thing to mention though is, like, in the glands, the picture of the circumcised man, the glands is now fully exposed, and over time, over weeks and months and essentially years, the glands rubbing against the clothing, the underwear or pants of the man, the boy and the man, it desensitizes it. A process called keratinization happens, where the skin of the glands gets rough and loses sensitivity. So not only have you removed the foreskin, which has all these thousands of nerve endings, you also desensitize the glands. And this contributes to some men having, ED, or not being able to achieve, orgasm, etc., because you make very serious changes to the penis. But in general, though, quite often the length is the same for each. But there are instances where too much skin is removed, and the penis will actually grow. It won't grow to what would have been its full potential. It just isn't there to accommodate the growth. And sometimes the penis will grow crooked to the left or right, etc. And then there's also a condition called buried penis, where the skin doesn't heal properly, and the penis barely protrudes from the boy's abdomen or genital area. So those are some of the complications that can happen. But otherwise, your diagram is somewhat correct.
Yeah, and I always had to explain, like, it might be a little exaggerated, and I like to say that even though I went through and made the other one very, a little bit bigger, a little bit to see, it's kind of like a zoom in aspect of what it is. Or we can say that these are both unerect phalluses, and the skin, could come over, when you're small, you know what I mean? But like you said, when you're fully erect, it might as well be a circumcised penis, because it retracts back. Now, with retracting back, I have heard other people say when they got older, or a lot of this is like a lot of the parents that don't know a lot about that stuff, and don't want that, a lot of neglect happening, because they don't want to help the child either wash it out, or they just feel funny about doing all that. So that's why they opt out for the circumcision. But I have heard even parents that are neglectful, and don't get circumcised on their children, and are neglectful, and don't show their kids how to retract the foreskin back, and so that you do have all these hygiene issues. But then I've heard on the other side, some people having too tight of a skin, that it was hard for them to pull back. Now, there has been cases where it's like where they had to get circumcised to take some of that relief, or to get some of that relief. And then there has been other issues where, like, they didn't know how to retract it back, or they didn't practice it enough, and it stayed in its it stayed like that.
Right.
Then I've seen other issues, or I've heard of other issues where the skin, even with a full erect penis, they still have skin that is over it. So they had to
Right.
retract some of that skin back, not all of it, but some of it, to just be without so much skin at the end of it, fully
Right.
intact.
So I appreciate you bringing those three topics up. So I'll address them one at a time in the order you mentioned them. The first one is hygiene. A misconception is that the foreskin needs to be retracted, like in infants or young children. That's a fallacy, and in fact, it shouldn't be. All parents need to do is just wash what can be seen, and you don't even need to use soap. You just need to rinse the penis with nice warm water. That's all that needs to be done. It will take care of itself. It will cleanse itself. And then over time, as the boy matures, the foreskin will separate from the head of the penis on its own, and it happens at different ages. Sometimes it happens as early as 5, 6, 7, 8. Other times between 10 and 12. Sometimes as late as 16, 17. But ultimately, it will retract by itself. And of course, children being curious, they'll gently tug at it themselves, and they won't do what typically they won't do what causes pain to themselves, so you don't have to worry. So there really is all you have to teach your child to do is just to rinse to clean their body, clean that part of the body just like they would any body part, with soap and water. The second, and forced retraction actually can cause problems like infections and adhesions and all kinds of other things. So, if someone uses hygiene as an excuse, they're really just being lazy. It's because they don't want to take the time to either educate themselves or bathe their child properly or teach their child. It's just laziness. And, 2/3 of the world's men are not circumcised. And we don't hear stories of like mass hygienic issues because they just simply don't exist. It's all a myth. The second thing is you mentioned in some cases, like if the child isn't circumcised, that there can be an issue, when they do become adult where it's hard to pull it back. And yes, that is a true condition. It doesn't happen that often though, and there are devices that can be used to stretch the foreskin, and then you can also use steroid creams. And these are steps that are often taken, for example, in Europe before the last ditch effort, which is circumcision, is performed. Whereas in America, because circumcision is the norm, if a parent chooses not to circumcise their son and the child has problems with it, then the doctors are very quick to just suggest circumcision, just because in many cases they just don't even know any better. So that addresses the first two topics. And then the third one, yes, there are some men who are intact, and when they get erect, the foreskin still covers a portion of the head of their penis. And in that case, they can retract it if they want. They don't have to. Whether they're having solo intimate relations or relations with someone else, it doesn't matter. I've seen every shape, size, and color you can possibly imagine, and men can do whatever they want with their package, and I've never heard of an instance where it can cause a problem using condoms either. So there's really no justifiable reason to perform an unnecessary surgery on an infant. Hope that answers those three questions.
Yes, yes, it really does. Thank you for that insight. Because I'm hearing different testimonies, and I'm taking it all into regard because me as well. I didn't have that issue, but hearing other people having that issue and not being able to give them the right type of advice, in that sense. So that's good to hear. So I can move forward because I tend to give people advice by sharing all these different types of scenarios or testimonies that I've heard,
Right.
without being too, because I don't want to, I'm not trying to shame people for what, we all have what we have. We all grow up with what we are grown up with. So I do want people to feel vulnerable enough to come up and give those testimonies without being shamed. Another aspect of shaming, now that we're talking about shaming, is a lot of young boys talking about getting it clipped because of the pressures out there of like the bad experiences with women shaming them for having it, whether it's a turtleneck, whether it's this blue cheese talk, smegma, and all these things, like, or even like a locker boy conversation with other boys, you end up finding out people do it out of pressure because they feel left out, and it is
Right.
very sad.
Right.
Uh,
And that's
very,
and
very
that's
sad.
yeah, and it's very unfortunate, but you're right. That's human nature. And we have in America there's this superstition. Circumcision is really like a superstition. It's an irrational belief about due to a fear of the unknown. And you mentioned smegma. Smegma is really just dead skin cells and oil that the body secretes, and it occurs in other parts of or other areas of your body, like in your underarms, between your toes, etc. And women actually produce like 5 to 10 times more smegma than men do. And you don't hear men shaming women. I mean, sometimes you do, but you don't hear, men calling women disgusting because you have smegma, blah, blah, blah. It's really, unfortunately, a one-sided topic. But with the rate of circumcision in America dropping below 50% right now, the tides are going to turn. And eventually, those men that are circumcised are going to be the ones that are laughed at and teased in the locker rooms, just like takes place in Europe right now. There's a show in Europe. It ran for quite a few years. It's not running anymore, but it was called Naked Attraction, where they would have like 6 men that were nude, and they were concealed behind like an opaque tube, and there was a woman, and the tube would slowly rise, and she would just get to see parts of their body one segment at a time, starting first with their feet and knees, and then it would go up to their hips, and then up to their armpits, etc. And these people were completely naked, and all of them were uncut. They were all uncircumcised, and it was no big deal. And once in a while, there was a man there who was circumcised, and And quite often, they would talk about it because it's so unusual there. So, I never want to see circumcised boys get teased in the locker rooms in America, but unfortunately, that probably will happen someday. And 50 years from now, there are going to be TikTok lives where people are going to be talking about how it's not fair to tease the circumcised boys in the locker room. So that's the reality of it.
Right, right. And that's why I do feel good, giving advice. Like, don't worry about it, man. And give them my perspective, or you know, there's plenty of fishes in the sea. There's plenty of other women that are going to see it differently. So
Exactly.
just
Yep.
keep trying.
Yeah.
Keep,
If a woman,
yeah.
yeah, if a woman doesn't want to be with you because you're uncircumcised, and she's probably not the kind of woman you want to be with to begin with, And
Right.
we don't, if your baby has, red hair or a big nose, we don't dye their hair to prevent them from getting teased. We don't give them a nose job at birth to prevent them from getting teased. So why on earth should we remove healthy body parts from them to prevent them from getting teased? Hey, I just want to mention one thing, Afro. I put it in the chat. And again, I can't express my gratitude enough to you for doing what you're doing. This is really amazing. There's a book, and it's called The Final Cut by Jonathan Meddings, and it's the best book about circumcision I've ever read. It's not very long. He wrote over 100 medical papers, and he just very objectively and scientifically talks about every single myth or claimed benefit, and he debunks every single one of them. He also talks about religion and culture and everything, African HIV studies, you name it, he talks about it all in his book. And it's just a great resource material for anyone that wants to host lives about circumcision. I've mentioned it before. People have bought it. I've bought it for them. I'd be more than glad to send you a copy. All you have to do is DM me your address, and I'll send you a copy. I have multiple copies. It's called The Truth About Circumcision by Jonathan Meddings, and it's the best book I've read so far on the topic.
Awesome. Thank you
You're
for that.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
We do have a new guest on the panel. A first woman on the panel.
Hi. Thank you for
Hi.
having me. I want to say thank you for even talking about this. This is a topic I have no experience in. So when I heard you say things like some kids that are little, they get shamed for this, and then they want to get it, go get the surgery for some reason. I think that's so ridiculous, because genuinely, I don't see any benefit that this ever could have to a person. And when I think about female circumcision, that's outlawed, and like there's no reason why it would happen. In other countries, it happens because they want to suppress the sensitivity for the women. And I'm guessing it does the same thing for men, right? So the only benefit that I can think is control over men, so that you kind of essentially neuter them for the rest of their life, right? So they don't have as much sensitivity as someone else would. So just the fact that you have this control over another person's life when they're even a child makes no sense to me. And I don't know why anyone would ever agree to this, even for religious reasons.
Right. Yeah, it's quite the interesting. Yeah, it's very curious about why people do what they do, and we come to find out it's for a number of different factors, from societal pressures to religious reasons to aesthetic reasons to X, Y, and Z. So it is very interesting to hear.
Right. I have just a little story about me. I have a baby. But when he was born to a Jewish family on my father's side. So like technically we're not fully Jewish, right? Because I'm not a Jewish mother. So we had the choice whether we go to the rabbi and we have the whole procedure done, but I was super against it. But just because I spoke up against it, everybody on like both sides of the family were like kind of ornery about it, because they were saying that I'm going against like teachings and I'm going against God, and then they put that whole pressure on me. And I was thinking, why is this affecting this child that's being born into this world that's not even gonna have a choice in this? Maybe if they're gonna grow up eventually, they'll have the choice where they think about it. But right now, my child doesn't have any autonomy at all to like think about this even. So I think it's so ridiculous that in 2026 this is still happening.
And then I'm very interested to hear you guys' perspective about whose choice is it usually, because I've heard it's usually the mother's choice, right? Whether the procedure gets done or not. And I'm sorry you had to go through that kind of shaming process when you decided, but from different cultures, I hear different things. But what have you guys heard that is predominantly the one? I would think it's I would think it's the baby's choice, obviously, but
It should
but let's just
be,
say
yeah.
in the parent dynamic, what have you guys heard? There's an open panel, by the way.
MK, do you want to take that, or you want me to answer it?
Yeah, so the hospitals typically defer to whatever the mother wants. It's just the way our medical system works. But I mean, a lot of times it's the father pushing for it.
Yeah, MK just went on mute. He said a lot of times it's the father pushing for it. You know, it's really a human rights issue, and I've seen multiple instances where the father wants it done and the mother doesn't, or the mother wants it done and the father doesn't want it, or neither of the parents want it, but it's their parents and their grandparents. Like for example, in the Jewish culture, like you mentioned, IG. And regardless of, and some hospitals will accept one parent's signature. Some hospitals require both parent signatures. And there are some hospitals, like for example, in the state of Washington where I live, that some hospitals will not do it at all, even if the parents insist on it. In which case, the parents have to go to an outside clinic to get it done. That may be because the hospitals are getting sued, the doctors are getting sued, and they just feel it's not in their best financial interest to offer this service. And I love that, and I know that'll happen in more and more hospitals. But it's a human rights issue, and the mother has just as much of a right to the input of this decision as the father does. Just because she doesn't have a penis doesn't mean she doesn't have a right to voice her opinion. She grew the baby, and she's just as much a parent as the father is.
Listen, what you said before about this whole like locker room talk, it made me kind of scared because I don't understand why there's this idea of hygiene as well. Because I'm pretty sure if a man takes care of themselves, the hygiene wouldn't be a problem. So why is that also being a part of it? Like the whole smegma talk. Like I don't understand why that's even being pushed on these young children. Eventually when my kid grows up, like he's only 6 months old, so he's still a baby. Like I'm having regrets now. Like, should I have said yes at this point? Because I'm like,
no.
I have both my parents. I have the parents of the father, the kid. Like, they're all thinking like, oh, it's my fault because beforehand, they were all like assuming that it's gonna happen just because the father's Jewish, and I have half of my side's Jewish. But when it actually came down to it, I was like, I don't want to do this to my child. Like, I saw him, and I was like, oh my God, you're precious. You're like this perfect baby. Why would I want to do this? And then now, all of a sudden, it's been like months now, and they're all, kind of every single time the topic comes up, and I'm like, it's over, it's done. What do you want me to do? Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, it's over.
Right. So
But
so
apparently,
just to clarify, so you did not circumcise your son, correct?
no, I
Right.
don't
No,
know.
that's good. That's good. That's great. And you know what? If he's anything like me or many other men have educated ourselves and learned about this, he'll be grateful. And if he does get teased in school, then so what? Everyone gets teased, and you know what? It sucks, but that's life. And it's just not worth removing a body part without his consent. I wish I had my foreskin. There are many, many men who wish the same. And if you ask the 2/3 of the world's population of men that are not cut, would you like to have your foreskin removed? None of them are going to say yes. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a social normalization, and it's a superstition. And people repeat what they hear without doing education. I don't know if you heard IG. The video "Elephant in the Hospital" is a great video on YouTube. It's only a half hour long, and it explains everything you need or want to know about circumcision.
Elephant in the hospital, you said?
Yeah, elephant. That's all you have to do. You don't even have to go to YouTube. Just do a Google search or Safari search or whatever. Elephant in the hospital, and
Yeah,
you'll
I'll look
find the
into it.
video. Yep, it's a great video. And yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with hygiene. It only takes 2 seconds for a man when he's showering to pull his foreskin back and wash it. And
Thank you
I'm
for
not
talking
so.
about this.
Yeah, no, of course. And I'm not suggesting, and I just also want to mention one other thing, Afro, regarding the diagram. I forgot to mention this, but the diagram on the left side, it shows like a zigzag line between, the inner and outer foreskin, etc. And that, I mean, obviously we don't have zigzag lines on our penis, and so it's really hard to understand what they're trying to portray there. Okay, because the foreskin, that's kind of like if you were to cut it and unfold it, etc. But the one on the right, where it shows the shaft, the scar, the inner foreskin, and the gland, that's exactly the way a circumcised penis looks. You can see the scar, you can see the difference in color between those different zones. And if you look at a man, like Caucasian men, you may not be able to notice it as easily as you would, for example, an Indian man, someone from India who's very dark skinned. In some cases, they have like two-tone penises. It's like the shaft of their penis close to their body is brown, and then from the circumcised area, it's all like bright pink. It looks ridiculous. So, that's also part of the reason perhaps in America why, we've allowed this to occur is because when men grow up, you can't, if you look at them and they're circumcised, you don't, it doesn't, it's not blatantly obvious that skin was removed, but for men in other parts of the world, it looks like they've, had an accident and had skin grafts. So anyway, back to you, IG, or
Yeah,
Pedro.
I'm gonna say that that's absolute brutality, and that's so cruel, and that's not okay to do to anyone, especially when they're a child, a baby who has no autonomy to their body, like at all. They can't do anything. They can't walk. They can't feed themselves. Nothing. And you're putting them through this. Eventually, they don't even understand what this does to them. And the worst part is, I don't know about these lines that you were talking about on the left there. I'm guessing all of these different parts, they have feelings. They have sensation.
Absolutely.
They have so many things that like eventually wouldn't be there. So you're doing this to a child that wouldn't even be able to develop those things in the future. I couldn't imagine if a child grows up with foreskin and then it decides to cut it off because of some whatever reason, because maybe people are making fun of them, or oh my god, you were talking about how women shame men for having foreskin and like the turtle thing, like that is so for me, when I think about that, I'm like, that's the same thing as body shaming a woman. You're doing the same thing. You're doing it back and forth. So to imagine that like a man would want to cut, I couldn't even imagine that. Like, why would
You're right. It's IG. You're absolutely right. It's a double standard. There was a Sex and the City issue or episode where they talked about circumcision. There was, I can't remember which actress it was, Charlotte or who, but somebody was dating a guy that wasn't circumcised, and they were making fun of his anteater penis, blah blah blah, whatever, and he got circumcised. And they didn't really portray both sides of the issue fairly or evenly. But yeah, it's body shaming. It'd be like it's no different than if men were saying like, "Oh, I don't want to date a girl who's got tiny boobs. That's ugly. That's disgusting." Or a woman who has like her lips, her lips hang down below her, her mound or whatever. That's disgusting. She should get that shit cut off. I mean, yeah, women wouldn't tolerate that crap. So why should we tolerate that? For our baby boys, it's horrible.
Another thing.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I just want to add to that. There was also something like called a wife stitch, like after you give birth.
Yes.
Our husband can ask to like, hey, can you stitch her up? Like after you give birth to like a baby, they want you to get tighter, and it's like, dude, this is not where we're going. No.
No, you're absolutely right. It's horrible.
But I do want to say thank you so much for talking about this, because this is so relevant to me, and I'm sure so many women out there I haven't even thought about this until the day actually came. Like I was just like, all right, like I'll decide in the moment, because it's such a small thing. But then when it actually came down to it, I was like, wait, I didn't think about this like at all. I didn't even think that this could be a possibility. Like, how would this affect my child? Because everyone that I ever talked to about this were like, this is have to do part of religion. Like that's what they were talking about. They didn't mention anything else, like how this would actually affect the person. So as soon as you start talking about circumcision, it's such a like touchy subject. And also another weird thing I find in public media, you look at, I forgot her name, but there's a celebrity that had like a facial cream that used
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. How come it's okay for her to go on live television and talk about a cream that uses foreskin from some babies? You don't even know who they are, where they're from, and all of a sudden, like,
from Korea.
Yeah, but like you don't know who these people are. These are people, that you took it from. Nobody talks about that. It's a part of the body. Nobody talks about that they have a right to their body parts. Like, it's crazy. It's happening still right now, and it's a fad, and nobody wants to talk about how horrible it is. Except for you guys, which I'm really thankful.
Right. It's a multi-million-dollar industry. Sandra Bullock, she was interviewed and she admitted, I can't remember whose show she was on, but she admitted that she uses a face cream made from Ellen, right, exactly, Ellen DeGeneres, that she uses a face cream made from foreskins, and you can still buy that face cream. All you have to do is go on the internet and look up foreskin face cream, And you're right. It's like, whose body, whose choice. Women have been arguing it's their body, their choice, and we should extend the same rights to baby boys as well. And it is, the I don't know, I can go on and on, but it truly is comparable to female genital mutilation. And
Right.
yeah, and
So it's
there's IG, if you I have a book, the book I mentioned earlier, The Final Cut by Jonathan Meddings. If you want me to
Mhm.
send you a copy, I'd be more than glad to. Just DM me. I followed you. Just DM me your mailing address. I've sent it to a number of people. It's my pleasure. Okay? And that way you
Right.
can, better educate yourself and share the information with others.
Right. I just want to say Teresa Marie said she said it's not any of my business what a parent does. I am a parent. I'm a very new parent. Just recently got my own baby out here in the world, so that's why it's very relevant to me. I think that's why it kind of popped up on my For You page because I was just scrolling, and this is a topic that I've been talking about a lot, and I'm genuinely nervous if I made
Yeah.
the right or the wrong decision. That's
Yeah,
why I
you made the right decision. You mentioned religion as well. We have in America, we greatly value freedom of religion, but there's another aspect to it. It's called freedom from religion. So yes,
mm,
you have every right to practice whatever religion you want, but that doesn't give you the right to carve your religion into a baby boy that can't defend himself.
exactly. I was wondering like at which point is it my choice or is it their choice? Because as a mother, I'm thinking, okay, this is my baby. I just gave birth to it. So why all of a sudden all these doctors coming in here talking about like, okay, we're snipping it or we're not? It's like, dude, at last second I'm allowed to say no. At last second I'm allowed to say, no, what, never mind. We're not doing this anymore. I think I think it's really up to me to defend my own kin and make sure they're going to be okay in the future, like as a parent. So I think everyone should be talking about this. It's not being talked enough about. And the idea that whenever this does happen, it's really more about neutralizing the man, like for the future, I think has nothing to do with hygiene. I think it has nothing to do with whatever religious things they want to talk about. It's more about neutralizing, making sure the person is not sensitive, just how they do to other women circumcisions in other countries, like in Africa. They circumcise them to make sure they don't have any sensitivity over there. So I think it's more about control rather than hygiene or religious effects. And I don't think that's right. It should not be allowed at all.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. And part of the reason it was done years ago in America at least, was to prevent masturbation, which some doctors and scientists thought led to things like syphilis. So yeah, there are a million reasons why it's done, and no matter how you look at it, they're all medically unnecessary, and it's genital mutilation, period, the end.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for talking about this. I'm gonna head
Thank
out.
you.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Yeah, Afro, I gotta go too, but thank you so much. You do wonderful work, and I will support you uh, forever. Thank you, Jonathan Martinez, for sharing your personal story.
Hoodie gang. You know I love wearing. You know I got the hoodie on my dick. I ain't gonna lie.
Hold on.
I got the hoodie on my dick, bro.
I like to thank
You know I got the hoodie on my dick. Bitches like.
bro. I gotta drop you, bro. I gotta drop you, bro. You gotta finish brushing your teeth, wiping your ass. You feel me? Let's go with thank you, Inactivist, for being up here still. Again, let's not have let's have mature people on to talk about this subject. Just give me a sec, guys. I'm letting this charge up a little bit. I'm eating some food. Inactivist will respond. I made him a mod. And then I'll play, I have another live where I had a doctor on, and I can replay that too. We got over 300 people. Wow. Thank you guys again. Share a gift with the Inactivist. Share. We'll get more people to give some more testimony. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna play one of the lives I had before. Just give me a second. Let's give me a second. I don't know which one it was. Let me find it. I think it's one of the first ones I had on circumcision for 3 hours. I think it was the one.
But I don't want to misjudge.
Nope, this wasn't it. This wasn't it. Let's see. It was this one.
I mean, like, I don't know, like UTIs or like, I don't remember, like that.
Not that one. Was it that one? It's something that as soon as you get contact, you get. Where is it? Example. Shit here, like how to court a woman.
When it comes to that, if that makes sense.
My brother, ¿cómo estamos, hermano?
Line, you know, we have a bunch of females and they like your bloodline. So I didn't catch exactly.
They're all going to get impatient.
I agree with it in that, but we also have it's kind of like
With an erect or
I taught it to be clean.
Around having problems can then that's where I see it as okay, you can.
We all know this.
No.
not different than more sense to me the more I thought about it. That it's like, you know, like I was raised in Christianity and indoctrinated into that, whatever. And it's kind of the opposite, you know, it's not taken like seriously, you know, like in Kikuyu culture, we don't celebrate those holidays. We don't celebrate birthdays, you know, we don't count numbers in full, you know, like there's actually 10 clans, but we'll say there's 9, you know, or if you say like what year, how old you are, you might say like 1 year younger. And it's for the purpose of like things never ending, you know, that kind of like always has been, always will be type of thing. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense to me, because it's like, you're not raising them up in the sense of like, you know, this is all there is to life and that type of thing. Where a lot of people, including myself, experienced that growing up, you know, at the behest of my parents with religious indoctrination. So I call it the reverse Rumspringa.
Okay. Gotcha. I do see in the comments, some guy said, Jesus is God, said this might be Timmy, but I'm getting snipped next month for medical necessity. Again, good luck with that. And again, we're not here to tell you to do it or not do it. Especially if it's for a medical necessity, we obviously know that there are some medical things, you know, or like what do you call it? We're just saying don't do it for aesthetic reasons, you know. If it's something that's going to harm you in the future or preventable. I don't know all those different things, but don't do it for aesthetics purposes. Don't do it for this guy that said, I don't want to grow cheese on my tip. You know, a lot of people think that you can't, like, we were listening to mothers actually talk about this, how they didn't want to deal with their sons' genitals. Like, as they grew up, they just didn't trust their own sons cleaning their stuff. And, you know, when you're a kid, you don't, you know, it's something that you have to be taught, you know, and about hygiene and stuff like that. And a lot of mothers were honest about not wanting to, you know, to put up with that. So they just rather snip it, you know. So I really appreciate those mothers that were honest about that. But it also shows how we all need to pay more attention to our little boys, you know, and if we really do care about them, that we should be there to help them clean, teach them how to clean. And if that's really what you're just scared of, you're scared of that turtleneck, you're scared of something that looks ugly. We really want to get out of that mindset of the aesthetic purposes, you know what I mean? Because the foreskin has a lot of nerve endings. It has more nerve endings than the tip of your toes to your fingernails, okay? So I do want to put that out there. Did you want to add anything, my brother? Before we add, we're going to bring up one more brother up here.
Yeah, real quick. The sickness.
I don't know.
So I don't want to put too much out there, but in my personal situation, the doctor decided not to cut it off because her concept was it's going to grow back. You know, I'm going to grow into it, so to speak. So she left some, and to this day I have extra. But my son had to experience the same thing because he had the same issue as me, and his mother, not understanding what my mother understood. His mother thought it would be good to wait until after he turned a year to remove what was left. And I fought her tooth and nail not to do it.
Oh, wow.
So medical necessity, because of her pressing the issue, medically he had to have a little more removed, but still had to leave some there. And my son complains about it to this day. He has a problem with his mother because of the decision she made. Because he was conscious of what was going on while it was happening.
Wow, that's
It's
interesting.
insane. But like the guy was saying, from his culture, in his culture, it's a rite of passage, right?
Right.
So if it's a rite of passage in his culture, and the ideology of the colonists is that, hey, we need to cut that off. There's no use for it. Who's to say that that might have been their specific cultural idea when it came to that? Just like we discovered that they mistranslated the Torah.
Exactly. And now let me ask you, Sheik, without going too deep. Now, is the extra foreskin? Because I mean, I got extra foreskin, but only when my when my junk is like not erect, right? It's small, and then, so I have hella extra that hangs like a elephant trunk, right? But are we talking? Yeah. Are we? Are we talking about extra with an erect or extra without one?
So what I'm speaking on specific is I have extra when it's strong.
Oh wow. Okay. Gotcha.
It was so much extra when I was a baby, when I wasn't, that they felt the need to leave some on because I would eventually grow into it.
Right. That would make sense.
But like I said, with my son's mother, she didn't want to hear that. In her mind, they're supposed to get cut. And I'm like, no, that you can look at it and tell you ain't supposed to cut that.
Right. What is it about the moms, man?
Because they don't want to have to do the cleaning. That's the only reason.
That's what I was
have
saying.
To be the ones to clean.
That's what I was saying, Sheik. And we gotta be more aware that. Hey, guy, relax. I gotta drop you. Sorry. You're not ready.
What was he talking about?
He was talking about his penis. He just couldn't talk about it. He was too self-conscious, I guess. Dude, Sheik, exactly, my brother. I'm happy you brought up that example because we had plenty of those examples.
Why is my dick?
Oh, I don't know why your dick is so small, bro, but you got to get up out of here. You feel me? Anyways, I got to stop letting these randos come in. But yeah, Sheik, that's okay. We're going to say this again, guys. Don't do it out of aesthetics, okay? Or out of your laziness to wash your own child's. This goes for men and women, fathers and mothers. If you don't want to deal with your son, maybe he needs a little teaching about how to clean, and maybe you have to be a little more aware, a little more attentive, to his needs, his hygiene, and that is gonna, just like you show a kid how to ride a bike, you gotta put on the training wheels first, he's got to fall a couple times, and then he'll be good on his own without the training wheels. So it's the same shit. You just got to be patient. You guys got to be patient, man. But again, like my brother Mateo was saying too, there are calls of action because of what was it called? Mateo? Like your manhood. What is it called? God damn it, I forgot.
Rite of passage.
Rite of passage. Thank you, my brothers. There are rite of passage about what manhood is and the next level of the things, and it's different than the circumcisions that are in the hospital. We do have to reiterate that again, and understand it as well, and not put it all in the same boat. With that, my brothers, thank you, Sheik, and thank you, Mateo, for those inputs. Let's go ahead and move on to our next. Our new panelist here, I can't pronounce that. Lin Hay. Welcome up, brother. Can you introduce yourself, brother? Can you let us know if you hoodie or not?
Yeah, you had it. You almost had it. My name is Lenjaman.
Oh, okay, awesome. Welcome to the panel.
Yeah. Lenja is a particular tribe in Southern Africa, and I like this topic. I really love it.
Awesome. Bro.
So growing up as a young man, I had a friend. His name was Jeffrey, and Jeffrey came from a different tribe that used to believe in circumcision. My father never believed it, and my people never believed in that. So we're Africans. We're in Southern Africa. So I'm now 15. He told me, say, hey man, I got my thing chopped up. You want to do that? So I told my dad said, no, Don't do that. My father was a very controversial man, biblically, historically, and everything. I could write a book about my father. I love him. But anyways, so I go to the hospital. We had good Medicare and all that stuff. My father worked for the largest copper mines in the world. And we went over there, and I say, "Oh, can I get my thing chopped off?" My father already told the doctor, say, "Man, that little fucker is gonna come and try to get this shit chopped off. Don't chop it off." So months later, I go to my village to see my grandfather, the man that bought my father, and he told me, say, you don't need to chop that off. That's a protection. Don't be listening to these white folks. That thing has a protection for a reason. Why you want to take it off? Would you like to take your eyelid off too? I learned a lot. You know, they sat me down and I said, man, and I don't mean to be racist or anything. I know maybe the panel is full of white folks or whatever, but they told me, say, white folks sometimes get things wrong. I'm talking about my grandfather who died at 107 years old. He told me, say, hey man, white people get things wrong. They're not all right all the time. Don't cut that thing off. Leave it like that. It's the reason for that. So we left
brother.
it.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, brother. My mother thinks the same way. She's Mexican, right?
Yes.
My father's African. My father's African. Just to give you just some context, you know, most of the brothers up here are black or African as well. So don't worry. You say it with your whole chest, okay, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm gonna move forward, and I'm gonna tell you something. So they say, they say a saying, a stupid saying called na or Wuchisa. So the more you hide the penis, the sweeter it gets when it goes into inside. That's what they used to tell us. So, you know,
the more you hide it, the more you hide it, the sweeter it became. Is that correct?
Yes. So the more that foreskin is hiding the thing, and then you jump into the circus, and then all of a sudden you feel like the world is ending. But now we have to go back. We're not going to hide this. What about the rabbis in New York that were found that were keeping those circumcised little foreskins and using for rituals? Do we all know this?
No. Tell us more. We need to know more about these small hat people.
You guys think Charlie Kirk had a 12-incher?
Look, Lace, you gotta wait your turn. And if you're gonna be talking about Charlie Kirk's fucking penis, I don't want to talk to you. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Unc.
Yeah, okay. So there was a basement that was raided in New York by accident. New York police was not supposed to raid that place. You know, the system is corrupt.
No way. Oh, we got a violation for harassment and bullying. Oh no. We got my violation, guys. I'm gonna have to restart it, or I'm gonna have to come back a little later. Guys, follow me back, and we'll come back, okay? Because I can't get another restriction, or my account's gonna be banned. Peace and blessings. I'll be